The family of one of the two men had their lives taken when their SUV was struck by a Warren police vehicle is suing, alleging that the officers were traveling at 100 miles per hour or more when a violent collision occurred. Theresa Ford and Cedric Hayden Sr., representatives of the estate of Cedric Hayden Jr., one of the men who perished that day, is suing the city of Warren and two of the city's police officers, identified only as Officer Number 1 and Number 2, in a lawsuit that was filed Friday in Macomb County Circuit Court. Hayden Sr. said this Monday by way of Southfield firm Feiger Law. "Miss my son. I need my son. You took him away. There is no date for the lawsuit which seeks more than $100 million. Quote, Hayden Sr. continued by saying, "I don't know why they did what they did with their little Fast and the Furious driving down Schoiner, but it wasn't my son's fault. He was going home. That's all he was doing, was going home." Hayden Jr. and his lifelong best friend, DeJuan Pitts, had their lives taken in the early morning crash on September 30th at Schoiner Road and Prospect Avenue north of 8 Mile Road in Warren. The lawsuit alleges that police vehicles were traveling without lights or sirens, excessively past the 40-mile-per-hour limit, and, at the officers driving, did not brake but rather accelerated. Ms. Ford stated that the thought brings her to tears, and also stated that Hayden Jr. was her oldest son and her best friend. They said, quote, "I really want my baby back. This should have never happened. Never have happened." Pitt's mother, also through tears, stated that she wanted answers. Quote, "I want justice and I want my baby back." Hayden Jr.'s sister stated that she believes the officers should be charged with murdering someone, and first responders left her brother outside for several hours, adding that there is no such thing as a safe pursuit and all you need to find is a different way to go about it. Warren Police issued a statement on Monday in response to the lawsuit, which it learned about a few hours before the news conference about the litigation. Quote, "While we know this is a hard time for the families of the deceased and we all would like answers to many important questions, the only proper source for answers is the Macomb County Sheriff's Office, who is conducting an independent investigation into this unfortunate incident. The Warren Police Department has been fully cooperative with the Sheriff's Office during their investigation into this incident. Careful investigation of all the facts is necessary to ensure unbiased and accurate conclusions are drawn." Police state that both officers in the patrol vehicle were placed on administrative leave pending the complete investigation, as is custom in the case involving serious injuries or death. The entire city of Warren sends our condolences again to the families of all involved and the community impacted by this tragic auto accident. We are also praying for the full recovery of the two officers involved, one of whom continues to remain hospitalized for his injuries. According to the lawsuit, the two men were in a white Dodge Durango northbound on Schoiner that was waiting to make a legal left-hand turn onto Prospect at about 5 a.m. The Durango slowed to allow another vehicle traveling southbound on Schoiner to pass before making the safe and legal turn. The vehicle passed the Durango, began to make the turn onto Prospect. At the same time, the police vehicle was traveling, quote, "close to and likely in the excess of 100 miles per hour with no lights or sirens, southbound on Schoiner." And according to the suit, a speed, it states, was extremely dangerous, reckless, at all times amounted to negligence and gross negligence. It states that the police driver, quote, "chose to exceed the posted speed limit at 40 miles an hour, chose to break the law, and chose to obtain a speed at or exceeding 100 miles per hour." Continuing that as the police vehicle approached the area of Prospect, the officer never applied any pressure to the brake pedal, but rather applied 100% of the acceleration, taking the Warren police vehicle to its top speed of nearly 100 miles per hour. The police vehicle crashed into the Durango, which sustained massive damage as it was launched into the air and rolled over several times. The suit also claims that Hayden, who was driving the Durango, did nothing to cause or contribute to the incident. Additional lawsuits are expected to be filed on behalf of the Pitts and Hayden. Sheriff's Office spokesperson Jennifer Putney stated on Monday that the accident remains under investigation and it may take weeks or two before any findings are released. Warren police previously stated that Hayden, age 34, and Pitts, age 33, passed, and the two officers, whom police did not identify by their name or age, were hospitalized with serious injuries. Last week, Warren's police commissioner, Charles Rushton, stated that the officer who was driving was released from the hospital while the other officer, who had been extradited from the marked patrol vehicle by firefighters, remained in the hospital. Rushton also stated that officers were in a Ford Interceptor. He said that one of the men who died was ejected from the Durango. He stated one of the victims lived on the street that they were turning onto and the other lived in Detroit. Rushton stated that both male officers have been with the Warren police for about 2 years. Both came to the department with prior experience at other agencies and have been officers for more than 5 years each. Rushton stated that officers have been on patrol duty since their arrival with the Warren police and that area was a normal patrol area for them. Rushton did not know whether the officers were wearing seatbelts or not. It appears that they did not have the vehicle lights and sirens on during the time. He also said that police believe the victim who was ejected may not have been wearing a seatbelt. In a prior release, Warren police stated that they, quote, can confirm that this crash was not the result of a vehicle pursuit. At no time were these officers engaged in a pursuit of the white Dodge Durango or any other vehicle when the crash occurred. They stated, police are confident Hayden and Pitts were not suspect in any business breaking-ins currently under investigation and are certain the Dodge Durango was legally registered to Pitts and not considered or investigated as a stolen vehicle. I just want to say this. My condolences to the family. I'm sorry that you have to deal with this. I'm sorry that this even took place. These men had nothing to do with a high-speed chase. They had nothing to do with any situation of why it is that the cops were speeding the way that they were. And throughout the article, you continuously heard the condolences for the police, and we hope that they make it through and all of these things. But where was all of that from those two cops when they were speeding at an excess of 100 plus miles per hour? When it is that they hit the car and they made it flip several times. One of the men was ejected directly out of the vehicle. They wanted to bring up the aspect of one of the occupants was not wearing a seatbelt. It doesn't even matter, because for the greatest amount of time, guess what? He was safe and sound. Wasn't nothing happening. I'm pretty sure he more than likely took off his seatbelt because he was right around the corner from his house. I've done that a multitude of times whenever my friends were about to drop me off. As soon as we hit a block or two, I'm like, all right, let me already prepare. I'm taking off my seatbelt. I'm collecting all of my game systems and my controllers, and we're out. I'm pretty sure that's what that man did. And I promise you online, you'll have the others directly out there trying to state that the two men were at fault. You have them trying to state, oh, they were running from something. Why weren't they doing this and why weren't they doing that? Because a lot of people don't want to read articles. A lot of people don't want to find out the information that, hey, the police were actually at fault. And this is one of the main things that I've also highlighted on both of my channels as well. The fact that you have a lot of these cops who have all of this power and nothing to do with it. They'll decide to break all types of laws. I've seen it myself. Even walking when I was a teenager, I've seen cops speeding for no reason. They weren't going anywhere. There was no chase happening. They didn't receive a call. But all because they can. All because they didn't want to stop and sit at a red light. They decided they wanted to speed up. They decided they wanted to flick on their lights real quick so they could go past 2 red lights just because. And I've seen this. But do you think that the sheriff or the police chief, do you think that the supporters for the cops, do you think they care about any of those things? No, they don't. No, they don't. Because 9 times out of 10, all of them are going to try to find a way to pin everything that takes place directly on the victims. They're going to make the victims the perpetrators, and the perpetrators, being the cops, the victims. Again, I don't think anybody feels sorry at all for the cops that were going at an excess of 100+ miles per hour. I don't think that they do. Because the most interesting thing is, whenever I've heard stories of people, ordinary people, speeding down the street, I never heard the cops say that, yo, we really feel for the families. They don't say that. They don't say that. They say you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But in this instance, the only people that got the quote unquote prize were the victims. Both of the cops are still alive. One of them is still in the hospital, maybe critical condition. He will more than likely make it. Both of those cops will be able to see their families. They'll be able to have kids. They'll be able to go to holidays and graduations. They'll be able to retire. They'll be able to grow old. They'll be able to breathe again. They'll be able to see a brand new day. They'll be able to experience things that'll happen tomorrow and the day after. They'll be able to see 2025. Again, life is very much unfair when it is that ordinary innocent people get caught up in madness of which they don't deserve. These two men were simply just trying to make it home on the day of which two cops, two warrant officers, decided to speed down the street for no reason. No sirens and no lights at